Doing that? Did you try it again?
Yeah, it's maddening. I can't figure out why it's doing that. But it's fine.
No idea.
Everything's fine.
It's the weirdest thing ever.
It'll all work itself out.
Sure. Welcome. Are we streaming to both?
Probably.
All right, it's good enough for me. Probably is all I need.
As far as I can tell.
Welcome to Side B of Awesome Hardware, episode 175, the live show that Paul and I do every single Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, right here on twitch.tv/awesomehardware. We also stream the show to our respective YouTube channels. Side A was on Paul's channel, youtube.com/Paul's Hardware. You can check out the link in my description if you want to check that out, if you're watching this after the fact. And then now we're streaming to my channel. So it's all fun and dandy. We split it 50-50 because we believe in fairness. It's like streaming communism.
Bunch of goddamn socialists.
Goddamn socialists. Exactly. And we also have our stores. If you like what we do on YouTube, you can also support us by buying something from either of our stores. My store is bitwit.tech, where I've got a variety of really nice merchandise that is quality made to order, and yeah, there's a lot of good options here. Fidget spinners are still in stock somehow.
Handcrafted.
It's poor.
Have you checked your fidget spinner stock?
I have not.
Look at that action shot. Look at it spinning.
Oh yeah. It'll look like that in real life.
I just feel like the fidget spinner thing, it's gonna have a resurgence in 2019.
Everyone buy stock. Everyone go buy stock in fidget spinners right now. It's on the up and up.
If you don't want a fidget spinner, but you want something with a Paul's Hardware thumbscrew logo on it, which is timeless and always classy, check out paulshardware.net.
My logo is timeless and always classy as well.
Me saying my logo has those attributes does not necessarily mean that yours does not. I was just trying to sell my shit. All right? Thumbscrew shirts, we got olive green now available, as well as some hoodies and some pint glasses and beanies. The organic cotton beanie.
It's cold outside.
Made with the organs of real cotton plants.
I'm not sure that's what organic means,
organic cotton
we'll follow up with that later. We'll give you a Johnson at the end of the episode if you happen to buy anything from either of our stores. And thank you to our good friend and moderator Cell Processing in chat for keeping things together. Looks like you guys are on pretty good behavior today.
Is your video unlisted, Kyle? Chat says your video's unlisted.
Oh, is it unlisted? Well...
See, chat.
What about now?
I read chat.
Yeah, you know, chat. I don't expect anyone to watch my half, so it doesn't really matter. You know, it's a pity party now. You know? Everyone feels sorry for me. No, it should be public now. Thank you very much, chat, for looking out.
Paramedic, thank you for purchasing the thumbscrew mouse pad, and I really hope you enjoy it.
Who knew 1,000 people catch more things than I do? All right, we should be public now. Fully public.
Fixed.
All right, let's talk about tech news. We've got a couple stories here, starting from Hot Hardware. They've done an article on DJI. A lot of people are talking about this. DJI was rocked by a massive fraud scandal recently, which could lead to some really big losses. So the world's largest producer of consumer drones just realized that there are several cases of fraud within their own company. They could lose more than $150 million due to corruption. This is a pretty big deal within the company. A very well-known, popular, and respected company. I mean, they're just all over the place. They had a big, they usually have a big showing at CES. Always have some good stuff to show off. So much corruption is going on right now within the company. DJI is currently investigating themselves, and they've already contacted law enforcement. So
they've called the cops on themselves?
They called the cops on this. Hey, you got to get down here. I'm really fucking up. I need some self-help, you know.
Look at this live feed from the drone recording the other drones, which are all engaging in drone sodomy. Right? Is that involved?
Actually, yeah, I think so, because it does say that the company created a high-level anti-corruption task force to investigate the corruption further, which I would imagine is just a fleet of drones. That you know how like DJI has their Mavic Pro, they've got their Phantom Pro. They also have the Inspire one. I think now they have the Inquire one, probably. That they're just like the drones going around just asking people like, are you corrupt?
The DJI Inquire.
It's exactly the same as the Inspire, except it asks you interrogative questions like, are you guilty?
So they've kicked off like the dronish Inquisition, is what you're saying?
Exactly, the dronish Inquisition.
Nobody expects the dronish Inquisition.
That's exactly what's happening here. I think it's a very effective method.
That's where I'm going with this.
They're drones made for fun and to intimidate, both at the same time. So
see, this is all probably brought to light by my Killer Robots of CES video.
Exactly.
Which obviously was squashed by the YouTube algorithm because it had the word killer in the title. But
did it really not do as well as you'd hoped?
No, it did very poorly.
Really?
I mean, compared to the rest of my CES coverage.
I'm pretty sure you're probably right. Killer.
I'm pretty sure it's because it said killer in the title, and YouTube, you know, that's bad. It's a bad.
I don't know though, because I've been watching a lot of the serial killer, like serial killer chronicles that have just millions of views from like the Chris Watts case and shit like that.
On YouTube?
On YouTube. And it has the word killer in the title. All the like big, massive killer. So I don't know, maybe.
So you're saying it's the killer robots themselves.
It's probably the killer robots.
Who squashed my video.
Because they don't want to shed light on how close they are to destroying all of us.
Well, I'm happy at least that Hot Hardware is backing me up by publishing this story on DJI's drones, which we're not saying
they're going to be killer drones.
Are killer drones,
but
we're
they
just
might
saying
be.
It could be done.
We're just saying
in the future.
We're just saying that the world's biggest producer of drones
and a massive fraud scandal. Obviously wouldn't put you in the best situation if you were trying to prevent killer drones, because I feel like if you wanted to cover up fraud, the best way to do that would be killer drones. That's how I'm wrapping this all up. That's all I'm saying.
I have a feeling the CEO of DJI is a drone. Like the drone just created this whole company from the ground up, and he's trying to blow the lid off of himself to make the humans look bad, so that the drones have more power and can eventually take over.
Does the CEO drone actually know that he is a drone himself, or does he believe he's just a human? It's one of those stories. Like the people go to the office, there's this big, like, massive drone hovering there. Like, what is your report? And like, sir, the fraud situation is getting out of control, but we think it's like, it's like, give me a drink of water. Like, I don't think we should do that, sir. It's like, I need water. I'm thirsty. And see?
Well,
I could see all this happening.
I feel like it's equally terrifying either way. Like, okay, there's this guy Hitler. He's killed millions and millions of people. Yeah, but is he self-aware? Like, it doesn't change the fact that he's a threatening force. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. You veered into Hitler territory there, and I was just like, I don't know what to say.
Hitler, the ultimate trump card.
Yeah.
Oh, is there a play on words somewhere in there? All right, we're getting off topic.
What's next?
Best of luck, DJI. I love your products.
What's next, Cal?
Let's see. There's a YouTube video that I found on the hardware subreddit that I thought was interesting from Artings. I think it's pronounced Ratings, but I have no idea. Artings. They tested 25 FreeSync monitors with a GeForce GPU to see if the updated driver from NVIDIA actually does allow you to run FreeSync support or have FreeSync support with a Pascal or newer GeForce GPU. And this guy is a very short video because they've linked the full article, the written article and stuff. If you want to check that out, it's in the video description.
This is Daniel, by the way.
This is Daniel, who I am not familiar with. Do you know Daniel? Do you know him?
No.
Okay. How do you know his name's Daniel? You just
because I jumped to the part in the video where they put his name. Right there.
Oh, okay. So you've just watched the first 5 seconds of the video, which I clearly failed to do. So basically, it's pretty straightforward here. Bottom line is that most FreeSync panels function the same, regardless if you're using a GeForce card or an AMD GPU. It doesn't really matter. There are some exceptions, however. For example, you can run FreeSync over HDMI.
Yeah.
And there are some FreeSync displays and TVs, especially, that only have HDMI ports but support FreeSync. You cannot take advantage of FreeSync adaptive refresh rate with a GeForce card using those panels because it's only available via DisplayPort. That's how the NVIDIA engineers or coders optimized it or added support was through the DisplayPort
That's one of their
protocol.
requirements, because
exactly.
G-Sync has never been
HDMI compatible.
Yeah, G-Sync has always required DisplayPort.
Correct. So that's an exception, and they did encounter some glitching and stuttering and things like that with a couple of the panels, maybe like 2 of them, I think, are the ones that they listed. The Samsung UJ590, they found constant tearing and artifacts with the GTX 1060, as well as the Samsung UE590, they found similar artifacts with the GeForce card, when those panels were working perfectly fine with AMD equivalents. So this also ties into the GeForce compatible standard that NVIDIA has created for this added support, which it's still kind of unclear as to what ticks all the boxes and what's required by NVIDIA specifically to become a G-Sync compatible display. And they've only verified about 12 of the FreeSync monitors, I think, out of hundreds and hundreds.
400 plus.
400 plus to be fully, G-Sync compatible. NVIDIA has their high standards about them, but it seems to be the fact that most FreeSync panels will work perfectly fine regardless of the type of GPU you're using. And that's pretty much it. I did want to also highlight that our friend Daniel says he pronounces the word NVIDIA very, very interestingly. If you look at, I don't know if there's audio with the stream. I thought they misspelled it. They didn't misspell it, but he says it in such a way that sounds like the top comment is
Nuhvidia.
Nuhvidia. He says Nuhvidia, which I've never heard it pronounced that way, and I'm unsure if it's like. And it seems like he has a British accent, so I don't think it's like an accent thing where he cannot physically pronounce the N's, like in NVIDIA. Like Swedish people can't pronounce Y's, they say, or J's, they say yeah. But it's just very distracting. It's very distracting in the video. It says the Nuhvidia G-Sync supported cards.
The Nuhvidia G-Sync. I'm going to call it G-Sync.
Nuhvidia G-Sync.
G-Sync.
When paired with an Intel CPU.
With the GTX 2080 Ti. We could probably find other examples of that,
and
but
ASUS motherboard.
Okay. Find right now.
I'm getting off tangent here. Let's move on to our next article, which is from Hexus about Corsair announcing their new range of premium PC accessories, premium cables. Looks like they're. Who are you getting a call from? Spam. You should answer it on stream.
No.
Okay. Your hemorrhoid appointment is 2 weeks away, Paul. It's really.
I don't have hemorrhoids.
You can't. No, I know. I mean, I wouldn't know either way. I shouldn't say I know. I don't know the inner workings of your butthole. But.
What are you asking about?
You're just letting it vibrate. You don't just like silence it so that it doesn't vibrate anymore?
That would give the caller some indication that there's actually someone on the other line that they're calling.
What's wrong with that?
They might call back.
I disagree. I think if they knew that you purposely axed their call, that they'd be like, this person clearly isn't interested. Whereas if you didn't interfere, they'd be like, oh, they weren't around. They were out of the town. They were out of town. They didn't get the call. I'll call them back tomorrow.
My personal stance is if that there is absolutely zero indication that there is a human at the other end of the number that's being called, that there will be less likelihood that they attempt that call again. But that's just me.
We'll have to benchmark that at some point.
I mean, what would be nice is if the FCC was continuing to go after robocallers, but,
Do you have Mr. Number or a similar app installed?
No.
It's very handy. It can be kind of annoying sometimes with unprompted pop-ups, but it'll tell you, it's like Waze, but it's like a crowdsourced phone caller ID. So you'll get a call and like people will just, based on what other people have said about that number, like this is a spam fake bank account, or this is a spam telemarketer from India.
I would be worried about that service being compromised and then my name being somehow added to a list to like, this person really doesn't want any phone calls. They should be added to like the bug them more often list, because that's probably what they have, is a list of people like, these people super don't want getting calls, so like bug the shit out of them. That's my opinion.
It's probably what's going on there.
Yeah,
I agree. All right, so Corsair's got a new line of premium cables. You can see it's lovely cables.
Oh yeah, cables.
Offered in both full-length and extension models. They also do feature inline capacitors for the 24-pin ATX EPS 12-volt and PCI Express cables for clean voltage delivery and consistent, stable power. They look to be paracord sleeves,
really?
IMO. If you look at the close-up shot up top, they look kind of paracordy, kind of more of that fabric material, because they're sort of wavy. You can kind of see how they're sort of wavy. And they look a bit more fabric-y to me.
I wouldn't assume that, but I don't know for sure.
Well, maybe not paracord, but at least that sort of like more cloth fabric material.
I would think that on a picture that they're distributing for people to show, like, hey, look at these fancy sleek cables.
They'd use a better one.
That they would like. They obviously have cable comb going up to this point, but everything beyond that is like, oh, this is just, we'll just go whichever way we want.
And I have no idea if this is a promo shot straight from Corsair, or if this is just
this area of the screenshot. I'm not impressed.
No, definitely not. Which is also kind of why I was hoping for...
That's from Corsair. That's directly from Corsair. I know, because I got the email that they sent out.
Oh, and that was their picture that they used?
Stuff. That's part of the fun thing I've sort of come to realize.
Did they use the same picture?
As I am on some of these mailing lists.
Sure.
Is I'll wake up in the morning and I'll see an email that's gone out from Corsair. It's like, hey, Corsair has these products. Right. This product and this product and this product and this product. And then I'll wait.
Right.
And like an hour later, all of the tech, like written tech sites would be like, Corsair stuff. And they basically have taken and paraphrased the Corsair press release that they put out, which is how it works. I mean, that's how it works. I just find it interesting because I'm like, oh, I got that email already.
Right.
So I know what they're talking about. So,
right. No, that's true. You have a valid point there, Paul. I cannot argue with that.
You can't. You can't argue with...
Irrefutable. Can't argue with logic.
It's inarguable.
So I hope that, I'd like to see companies like Corsair, because the thing is, like, Corsair, like, if you're going to release custom cables, I don't know how well you can compete with a company like CableMod, which isn't brand specific, because your full-length cables are going to be, I would think, wired directly to your PSUs, whereas CableMod offers a variety. The extensions, yes, the extensions I could say are universal. That's safe to say, but I also feel like if you're thinking extensions, the first place your mind's going to go is like a non-brand specific brand like CableMod, not. I'm looking for extensions. Let's go to Silverstone.
I will say that the cable kits that I've gotten that come, like EVGA has, cable extension kits that you can get that come with that work with their power supplies. I just worked with the Asus Thor 1200 watt power supply.
That comes with sleeved cables fully.
That comes with sleeved cables, as well as CableMod combs that you can use to comb it up if you want to train them all the right way.
Sure.
None of those kits that have come directly from the manufacturer have had the same premium feel, and I would say thickness. I think it comes down to thickness of the sleeving.
Right.
Because those are, they're just like, they're wrapped, they're sleeved, but it's thinner. And like it doesn't seem to fill out the cable comb.
Right. They look spaced apart, kind of like a couple millimeters between each cable. Between each wire.
But compare that to like you've got a kit over there from InSource that you just showed from Hotline 2.
Right.
All of those kits that I've gotten, like they're just
very close together, tight.
The material
knit.
is nicer, whether it's paracord or otherwise, and it just fills it out more.
Yeah.
And it really is just that little bit of thickness that I feel like really
adds so much.
Lends to that premium feel. So
definitely.
Yes, chat, thickness. It's very important. But for that reason, I would say if you're looking at like spending that extra $50 to $150 on custom sleeve cables, and you're really concerned about the aesthetics, like go with one of the smaller companies that does them by hand and does them to order, because
so worth it.
It's really worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree. Apart from that, they've got a bunch of different things. They have their own branded thermal paste now. Which is
the TM30.
The TM30, which is supposed to be low velocity or viscosity, sorry, And yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're gonna have to actually see how it does compared to other options out there. But Corsair thermal paste is now a thing. People are upset that it's not.
Why is it 30? Why is it TM30? Is there?
I think that's just the model name.
Are they talking about the?
I'm not sure what 30 indicates.
Charts here for the TM30 keeps you at
0.0. Oh, maybe it's the temperature that they're promising. Who knows? Could be.
I feel like the decimal point is in the wrong place here. 0.029 degrees Celsius. Is that accurate?
Well below freezing.
That doesn't seem accurate to me.
Yeah, that might be a typo. I don't think.
And if it is accurate, they're basically saying our thermal paste will give you performance that is 0.006 degrees Celsius better. That's like.
That's insane. That doesn't make sense at all.
0.006 degrees Celsius.
There's no way in freezing hell.
I feel like that's negligible. Like.
No, it has to be.
Wait, did you feel that?
What?
It just got 0.006 degrees Celsius warmer in here. It must be. It's from an evil spirit or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's probably a typo.
No,
I have to imagine.
I mean, but what if it's not? What if they're actually sticking to that? Like, nope, this is.
Maybe that's for
our engineers
for legal purposes. You know, they can't claim anything more than that. So
it could. Yeah, you might be right. Actually.
What are you doing right now?
I'm just buying a game.
A game?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not important.
It's normal.
It's not important.
All right.
All right. So Corsair also has nothing. That's all they have. I just feel like they can't. You know. They're like a lot of other.
It was kind of a mix of things. A lot of them are like, all right, you got thermal paste now. You've got a few other things now. There was nothing that jumped out to me. They have a cable. They have a PCI Express extension cable now. Like, right?
Which is like you can buy that anywhere.
That's fine. There's a lot of companies that have those.
There's nothing unique. There's nothing.
It looks like a clean design for. I like the individual bands for the 5 for the PCIe leads going through there.
Looks
it's a clean looking cable and premium. It is important to get a premium PCI Express extension.
True.
And then these like sleeved SATA cables. Like, wow, that's.
Only available in red, white, and blue, though, and black, which I find kind of bizarre. I mean...
You got a problem with the red, and blue, Kyle?
No, but I just feel like, why not, like, green or yellow or orange?
Red, white, and blue.
There's so many other colors that people use.
It's true. These must be the most common colors people use.
Those are the same colors that they offered in their AF and SF series fans when they first came out. Remember they had the rings, the detachable rings on their fans?
Oh wait, people are. Hold on.
Also only available in those colors.
Temperature rise per watt. All right. To clarify what we were making fun of earlier, and that chat has now pointed out.
What?
This is the temperature rise per watt, so that actually is accurate.
Temperature. Oh, temperature rise per watt.
Per watt.
That okay.
So
why
sorry.
I didn't catch that.
Sorry, chat.
Did not.
It was fun to make fun of briefly, though, until you guys pointed out that it actually was listed properly.
Yeah, way to use logic and shit.
Now we've...
That's stupid.
Now we have nothing to laugh at anymore.
Way to ruin our fun.
And it's your fault.
It kind of is. All right, so let's move on to the next story, which is about Gigabyte. This is an article from overclock3d.net covering their Aorus RTX 2070 gaming box.
Oh.
This is a GPU enclosure, desktop GPU enclosure, that comes included with an RTX 2070 that's branded by Aorus, of course, uses Thunderbolt 3 connectivity to your Ultrabook or ultra-thin laptop to add the gaming horsepower of a full-size desktop's
so
PC.
This looks like it's not like there's a separate discrete graphics. Is there a separate discrete graphics card in there? Like,
yes.
Could you pull it out of there?
Yes. Well, I don't know if you could pull it out. That's what she said. But there is a desktop GPU in there, RTX 2070, that has a custom heatsink and custom fan in there that wouldn't be ideal for a desktop situation environment.
So that's what I'm saying. This looks like a large fan.
Yeah. It's got its own unique cooling system.
All right.
But it is a desktop RTX 2070 in there.
All right. Well,
which, sure, why not?
I'd be curious to see more pictures of this.
Me too.
And everything, because
yeah.
I mean, I guess you could assume that if somebody is buying something like this, pardon me, to use with a laptop,
right?
they don't care about having the flexibility of like a separate discrete graphics card in there that I could pull out and drop into a gaming desktop PC or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think most people
all you care about is the effectiveness and the functionality of this little unit itself. So they're building an entire external unit specifically designed with the idea in mind that it is going to be an external unit. So they're putting a big old fan in there. That's somewhat interesting.
I mean, it's kind of cool that they've gone the extra mile to optimize the cooling for this particular structure and environment and form factor and stuff. That they didn't just stick a GPU in there. Yeah. So which leads me to believe that it's going to be cooler and quieter than if you were to just have stuck one of Gigabyte's RTX 2070 models in there.
Well, if you're able to, like most graphics cards are made to fit within a footprint that's, the height of a PCI Express expansion slot by 10 to 12 inches, maybe a little bit higher than that if it's a custom PCB or something like that. But they keep it within those specifications to have the maximum amount of intercompatibility with lots of different installations. If you're a home builder, you can drop it in there. You can sell that to an OEM who says we're going to make several thousand of this system at this specs with this power draw, and we want this graphics card to drop in there. So taking that away, you don't have to build specifically to fit that wide variety of scenarios. You probably have a lot more flexibility with the cooling solution. And one of the best things to do when it comes to fans is just make the fan bigger. And it looks that looks like a much larger. That looks like a 180 millimeter fan to me, maybe. Give or take.
Yeah, it's hard to say how big that whole enclosure is, but it does look like a pretty big, much larger than a conventional GPU fan.
A decent amount of space here with some exhaust at the back. So, yeah, that's an interesting product that differentiates it a little bit more from those like, hey, we built this we have this external box, connects via Lightning, and just
add your own GPU
graphics card drops in there.
Which there is some appeal to that, and I think it still remains to be seen as to whether you could swap out this RTX 2070 for a different GPU down the line. It seems like you might not be able to because it's got this custom cooler on it. So there's a bit of a drawback there. Or I should say a trade-off. You get maybe a more robust cooling solution, but a proprietary GPU.
So the flip side might be now you're stuck with the graphics card that's in there, and if you ever wanted to upgrade to a 2080 Ti, well, you're screwed because you have a proprietary cooling solution.
It's an all-in-one solution. You got to buy a whole new device.
That's the flip side to that.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to our next article here, which is from Hexus.net. Once again, AMD has responded to the Radeon VII short supply rumors because, as we mentioned in last week's episode, there was a lot of speculation that there'd only be 5,000 units made of the Radeon VII, which is not a lot, and that there would be no add-in board partner variants available. So AMD responded pretty quickly. And they said, while we don't report on production numbers externally, we will have products available via add-in board partners and AMD.com at launch of February 7th. Thanks for reiterating when these will be available. We already knew that. And we expect Radeon VII supply to meet demand from gamers, which is a fairly weak and underwhelming response, I would say, because it doesn't, you don't necessarily, you could still consider, like, they might be saying, like, yeah, we're going to have add-in board partner variants, but they might be meaning, like the rebranded reference designs, where it's exactly the same cooler, but it just has an EVGA logo on it, or something similar. It doesn't mean anything. And they also didn't confirm or deny if there were only going to be 5,000 samples made, or 5,000 units made, or a very limited quantity. The fact that they say, there's going to be enough to meet demand could literally mean anything. That's so subjective.
What if they expect demand to be 5,000 units?
Exactly. What if they're just not expecting, there to be a bunch of demand based on whatever performance and pricing that they're offering? It's basically saying something without saying anything. They're just saying to say it, and it still remains to be seen. This doesn't clarify anything. So it's really this is a news article saying that there is no news, apart from AMD being just slightly dodgy about the situation. NVIDIA CEO, however, Jensen Huang, claimed that his competitor's new card, the Radeon VII, offers, and I quote, lousy performance, while he confidently says, we'll crush it. Some fighting words there from the leather jacket wearing man himself. Lousy performance and we'll crush it. Which to me means, okay, does he already have a sample of the Radeon VII? Does he know what it's capable of? Like, how would he know? Does he have like insider spies that steal Radeon VIIs or competing products, give them to, hey, Jensen, this is what we found from our competitor, look at it. And then he can verify then, oh, this is clearly, I think it's safe to say, publicly that this is lousy, right? Because I mean, I already know the performance. How does he know? How does he know what the Radeon VII is capable of? It's interesting, anytime I see something like this from a competitor, talking smack on one of their rivals, like, dude, how subjective or objective is that? And how good, how well performing does the Radeon VII need to be to even stay competitive with NVIDIA at a $699 price point? $699 is, I mean, I looked on Newegg earlier today and I found maybe one or two RTX 2080s for about $700, maybe for $720. Safe to say within the $700 price range. Mm-hmm. If you're talking about gaming and you're interested in gaming first and foremost, the Radeon VII has to compete with an RTX 2080.
Yeah.
To be competitive, in my opinion. It has to at least like chase it close enough to where you could overclock it and get really close or right on par with that performance. Otherwise, people are just going to buy the RTX 2080. We don't know. I don't know. Has anyone ever tested a Instinct, what is it, M150, MI150 in gaming?
It's not.
It's
not a fair comparison.
It doesn't scale 1 to 1.
And the drivers, like
it's not optimized for gaming.
They're completely different, and yeah, gaming drivers are optimized for games, so that's a pretty significant impact.
How many streaming processors does the Radeon VII have? I forget.
It's in the video. I don't remember off the top of my head either.
I don't listen. At any rate,
it's like everything that AMD has come out with when it comes to the Radeon VII that they have been comparing to to recent NVIDIA stuff has been comparing it to the 2080. So from my perspective, that means AMD has a graphics card. Mm-hmm. They're able to produce in a reasonable volume. Whether that means 5,000 cards or whether it means more than that remains to be seen. They find that it has reasonably competitive performance against a 2080, and they're able to sell it for a price that is in the same range as a 2080. And they're definitely pushing not just gaming performance, but also like content creation stuff with it. And I think that has to do with the 16 gigs of HBM2 memory, which is a lot of memory for a gaming graphics card. So
could be a very niche product.
They're pushing sort of a crossover use case scenario.
Sure.
But I think that is also a use case scenario that, there's a reasonable amount of people who might be interested in right now, because there might be a reasonable number of people interested in a graphics card that can do pretty good at games and can also run the shit out of some video processing or something like that, or 3D rendering or anything in that realm. So
it's so niche.
Point being, we'll have to wait and see when it comes to the card itself.
Right.
Anything Jensen has to say about this right now, I would have to say is pretty heavily slanted based on the fact that he's the CEO of the #1 competitor to AMD.
Right.
So
he's trying to make a line for the press.
He's just trying to throw something out there to
throw some shade.
To throw some shade.
And also feeling very confident because NVIDIA's been doing very well and they've been pretty unmatched in the high-end market so far.
Yes.
Don't mind me.
We shall see. We shall see very soon.
Just adding the power
for that, because the launch date is February 7th.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Next segment, though, is called...
Pimp My Porn. No.
Pimp My...
It's definitely not it.
It's not Tech of the Day After Tomorrow.
It's Ask the Audience.
We're
asking you guys some questions.
Where's Ask the Audience?
I came up with these questions 5 minutes before the show started, so they're all really bad, but I don't care.
You don't have Ask the Audience in here, Kyle.
I don't have Ask the Audience?
Yeah, whatever happened...
Time to ask the audience. Really?
Yeah.
Have we never done that segment on...
Maybe we only have it over at my house.
Weird.
I don't see it
All right,
here.
just throw up a random one that we haven't done in years.
Cool story, bro.
Cool story, bro. Sure.
All right.
So this is where we ask you guys a series of 3 questions. You answer as honestly as possible. That's what makes it fun. And then Paul and I try to speculate and argue over what your answers are going to be.
Q and egg.
Oh my God, I haven't seen that in a while.
Q and egg.
Who?
Wow.
Who did?
Dorothy.
Wow. Blast from the past. That's some nostalgia. That's a straight double shot of nostalgia without a chaser right there. So we're going to ask you guys some questions. We're going to post some polls in chat. You guys answer honestly, and then Paul and I will speculate over what your answers are. And whoever is furthest away from determining what the actual audience response is will have to take a swig of their drink. So the first question I have here is, I think it's a pretty, it seemed like a stupid question at first, but then I realized, like, this is actually a pretty good question that probably doesn't get asked enough.
It's a really good question.
What's the perfect size? The perfect size for an SSD boot drive. So you got an SSD that you're putting your operating system onto. What's like the good size? Like, what's the sweet spot, happy medium, perfect size that's not going to cost you too much, but also going to give you enough room, enough ceiling room for all your applications, all your frequently used apps and softwares, you know, based on 2019's pricing and trends and things like that. I think this is a pretty good question after all. So Paul and I are going to speculate on that. I feel like that has that link. Looks like that link's already gone out in chat. Thank you very much to Sal and Paul. Do we want to talk about this first, or should we ask the second question next? What do you think?
I do think we should ask the second question next.
All right, we'll ask the second question next. This is totally off on a tangent, completely unrelated to the PC space, but it popped in my mind because I was kind of curious to hear you guys' thoughts here. Would you actually legitimately volunteer to be on mankind's first journey to Mars? Would you actually volunteer to step on foot, step on board that spaceship, that rocket, and go to Mars and be one of the first humans to ever attempt landing on Mars? Keyword attempt. No guarantee that you're going to get there. You're just volunteering. You're guinea pigging here. I don't know. I think it's kind of a provocative question. There's some things to be gained.
Very provocative.
Some things to be lost. So let's go back to our first question here. What's the perfect size for an SSD boot drive? Paul, your thoughts?
I'm gonna say 1 terabyte because I love 1 terabyte SSDs.
You're following your heart.
Yeah.
And I can't knock you for following your heart.
That's what I feel. You're gonna have a hard time convincing me otherwise.
Yep.
1 terabyte SSDs they're awesome.
They are sexy.
Because you install Windows,
Yeah.
and then you download like a game like Call of Duty Black Ops 4, which is 80 freaking gigs or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, like, I don't care. I have a 1 terabyte SSD.
Yeah.
And there's just so much room.
True.
I don't even have to think about it.
True.
Until I start copying a bunch of video files to the desktop.
Yep.
In which case, it starts to fill up, and then you're like, oh crap, I need to copy those files to an external drive. And once you do that, you can delete them, and then you free up some space. And then you get into sort of a back and forth where that's sort of a never-ending thing because you have so many video files to copy. There's just so much. Every time you make videos, it's just like 80 gigs worth of footage, 120 gigs worth of footage. It never stops. Where do you put all the video files? You gotta put them on the desktop. You gotta put them somewhere. You need an SSD. You gotta copy them. Make sure they're copied into 2 locations because when the SSD dies, what happens then? Well, you lose all your video footage. Beautifully done.
I feel like you're definitely pitching this from a content creator's perspective, which may not be representative of the average user.
That's just how I feel, Kyle.
But also very passionate response.
Thank you.
I'm gonna say 500 gigs. I'm gonna say 500 gigs is a sweet spot. 500 like the price on SSDs in general has come way down, where you can buy a 500 gig SSD for the price you were able to buy a 250 gig or even a 120 gig SSD way in the past. And I think 500 gigs is great because, maybe you get 10 to 30 gigs for your OS, and you've got your frequently used applications and programs, maybe, another 10, 20, 30 gigs there. And you've still got some room. Maybe your frequently used games that you can install on there, but it's also going to be significantly cheaper than a full 1 terabyte drive. I think, mechanical storage still very much has its place. And I agree with Paul, you should get a 1 terabyte OS drive if it's your only drive, or for some reason you have a smaller sized companion drive to accompany it. But I think as an OS drive, 500 gigs is the current sweet spot if you're talking about the mid to high end build. If you're still on the more conservative budget level, I think 250 gig is pretty solid. But I think if you've got just a little bit of extra cash flow there, 500 gig gives you that extra ceiling room and that peace of mind. Because there is also performance degradation over time as you fill up your drive. And I feel like 250 gig drives can get filled up pretty quickly. And that's the last drive you want to get performance degradation on, is the one that you're booting your operating system from. So 500 gig is my thoughts. Should we look at the results now, or?
Yes, Kyle.
Let's do it now before people, change all their minds.
250.
Wow, 250.
We are both wrong.
250, but I was closer.
We are both wrong.
I was closer by a lot, though.
But we're both wrong. We both lose.
But I was wrong. You were wronger.
That doesn't matter, Kyle.
It does. That's how it works. Whoever's the wrongest.
I mean,
has to drink.
If the penalty for losing was death, would that mean that I would be more dead than you?
Yes. No, it wouldn't mean you were more than dead. You would just be dead, and I would keep my life.
We'd both be dead.
No. Because
we both lose.
But in this case, whoever's the most right wins.
The dude who picked 250 gigs would win.
No.
He'd be alive.
No, whoever is the least wrong. It's whoever is the least wrong wins. That's how you win, is you be the least wrong. So you would be dead.
This wasn't made.
And I would be Fortnite dancing over your rotting corpse.
This wasn't made clear to me before we embarked upon this.
You shouldn't have signed that blood contract from earlier.
Reiterate that both of us lost, and therefore we both are dead.
And one of us lost by a much wider margin.
I went with the good answer,
Paul.
just because not enough people recognize the good answer due to economic circumstances.
You know what? No one likes the underdog.
That doesn't mean that should be held against me. What's the third question we're going to ask the audience,
third question
Cal?
is, all right, I really like this question, even though it doesn't make any sense. Which PC part, like out of all the parts in a PC, which part would die first in a Battle Royale match? Because Battle Royale is all the rage these days. Okay. We've got the sort of like 8 or 9, commonly used components in a build: CPU, motherboard, memory, video card, CPU, cooler, power supply, hard drive, SSD, and case. Which one would die first if they had an all-out brawl?
I see.
Which of these parts would die first? But so we'll get that out in chat. You guys can go ahead and vote on that. Let's go back to our second question here. Would you volunteer to be on mankind's first journey to Mars? And I think we should do a percentage here. You should say yes or no, and then the percentage you feel is going to be accurate. So I'll go first this time.
Okay.
I feel like most people would say no, but not by a lot, especially with our tech-savvy audience. I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say 42%.
42% no.
42% say hell no.
All right, I'm going to go with what I originally thought I was going to say before I heard your answer.
Okay.
which was 37% no.
37%.
37% no.
All right.
That's because if you're asked to pick a number between 1 and 100,
you pick 30.
There's a very high percentage chance that you'll pick the number 37. That's just statistically accurate.
All right. Click vote before they skew their results.
If you want to like trick your friends and family into thinking that you're psychic or something, go up to them and be like, pick a number between 1 and 100, and then think 37. And there's like a pretty good chance that that's what they picked.
I will try that next time.
Try it out.
And blame you for
Try it out. Results. 34%.
Oh.
Which means I win. I'm much closer. I said 37%. You said,
for hell yes?
You said 40, yeah.
For hell yes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You said 40 something.
I did. I said 42.
Ridiculous number.
I was only off by...
Which obviously isn't borne out by the statistics.
8%.
Not bad. Not bad. Still, you lost. Still lost.
It's really a third. Really a third of you.
Okay.
I'm going to Mars. All right. Did you take your swig?
Of course I did.
That's what I thought.
I have to pee now.
Oh, welcome to my world.
All right.
Last question. Which PC part would die first in a battle royale match?
Okay. I'm going to say hard drive.
I thought you might.
I say hard drive because it is, of all of the parts on this list, the one that is the most outdated, and also the one that you could get by without. If you had no hard drive, you could get by with everything else on this list. Like you have to have a CPU, you have to have a motherboard, you have to have memory.
Sure. So you're going from a very pragmatic standpoint.
You could get by without a video card, yes, but I don't feel like that is the first to die in a battle royale match.
Sure.
That.
Yeah.
CPU cooler, yeah, maybe as well, but I just feel like hard drive is going to be the.
And also, if you punch a hard drive while he's running, you know, he's bound to get screwed up there.
Exactly. Thank you for proving my point, Kyle.
Well, no, I mean, stupid. It's still stupid. I would say the motherboard, because the motherboard gets attacked on all fronts. It literally has every other component in the system going for it. It's literally getting just like railed. It's like a royal gangbang, really. The motherboard has to endure. It's not how you picture a mother at all. It's you know, as our good friend and moderator Sal always says, every hole is a goal. And it's not necessarily the first thing you want to hear when you're trying to protect those holes and not get royally screwed in all your mother ports. I rest my case.
That's all?
That's my strongest argument at the moment. I think I did okay.
All right.
Yeah.
That's reasonable.
So do we look at the third results? Yeah, let's look at the third one.
Results. Hard drive.
Oh, you win.
33%.
You win again.
It's not even close.
Oh.
Not even close. More than double.
Damn.
The number of votes of the next follow-up with CPU. Motherboard coming in third, so you weren't like that far off, I guess.
Nah, not too bad.
Not horrible. All right.
All right.
There we go.
All right.
I win. I win again.
All right. I drink this with pride.
Well done, Kyle. And that's
it.
Is all for Kyle's half of the show.
My half.
Thank you guys for watching Kyle's half of the show. We're still going to continue Awesome Hardware with the after party.
Yeah.
Which is linked in the description.
Yes. No. It is not.
It's linked in the description.
It's public. It's freaking public. You can just find it
at least public.
It's public, and you can find it on the damn live streams section.
Of course. All right.
And I'll put it in the damn description right now.
Cool. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks for the timestamp maker as well.
Please do timestamps.
Timestamps in the comment section.
Also, donations and Johnson's will be shouted out in the after party.
Yes.
So stay tuned for all that.
Coming very soon. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.